Romeo and Juliet. Shakespeare. Everybody knows Romeo and Juliet, don't they? Everybody's heard of Romeo and Juliet. Oh, you're a Romeo, you're a Juliet. Everybody's heard of the play, they've probably seen movies of it, studied it at schools. But in directing Romeo and Juliet now, I find that I have discovered things about it within there that are far richer and far more dense and interesting than anything that ever did as a student or as an adult. And as my dramaturg friend Tony Allen, who went through the script that we're using for the Darren Theatre Company at the moment, discovering so much more in there, layers within layers that were never really obvious. For instance, how many people realise that Juliet is 13 years old? She's about to have sex with another guy who's a little bit older than her and is aided and abetted by her nurse and the friar, the religious person in their lives. Usually when this is performed, Juliet is often performed by an actress who's in her late teens and maybe early 20s. In many ways this defies and subverts the very purpose of the play that was developed by Shakespeare in the first place. The sense of time, now 3 days from the time they meet, when they first passionately kiss, to the time they kill themselves. It's 3 days. Is this really explained by talking about it as a power play between warring families? Is it really explained as a romantic eulogy, if you like, to lost things? I suggest that it isn't. I suggest that what we need to find is something far more complex and far more interesting and far more relevant to us today as young people explore, as young people discover, and parents forget, or selectively forget, their own experiences and very rarely actually convey them to their children. Now, I actually worry about this. I think I have nightmares about it. I have incredibly committed students, incredibly committed young actors who have gone further than any of the casts that I can recall with the DTC or that I work with elsewhere. And they seem to understand. They seem to understand that moment of the skin touching another person's skin, and then the loss of that at some point. And it made me think that this play is not about power plays, it's not about warring families, it's not about romance. It's actually about memory. Remembering a moment of such ecstatic excitement as the electricity between one person's skin and another ignited, and the depths and the extent to which one would go to further that experience. The confusion that it creates in the adult world around such people who experience this, such young people. And this is, I believe, the fabric, the structure of Romeo and Juliet. And I think we can do something which probably a professional company can't do, because they're unlikely to have actors of a similar age who are also culpable and capable of actually identifying with and extrapolating moments and bringing that to the stage to a largely adult audience and a family audience that sees what is happening as something that is significant within our culture going back to the time of Shakespeare and all the adventures that have happened since, all the extremes of violence and love and affirmation and development that have happened since Shakespeare's time, the Elizabethan age. And we put it into this work. And I'm delighted. I'm really, in many ways, still fascinated by the experience of what we're actually doing. I can't quite put it into words, but there is something very, very meaningful that I'm sure we'll discover by the time we open as to what is happening with Romeo and Juliet, with young actors, with staff members, with myself, in creating this work of Romeo and Juliet 2025. And so thus this, is it a promotion or is it just a selfie exposing my soul to some extent? I don't know. But I am saying I am flabbergasted by the true development of these actors, these young actors, the likes of which I've never seen before, and what they're capable of doing. So hopefully we'll have a great show, a great presentation, great production. Call it theatre, if it is theatre, and I think it is. Or is it really an exposition of memory, an exposition of something within each of us? I don't know.